In calculating the Caranavamsa Dasa, Jaimini has us look around a little bit. Jaimini will also often, in the first sutra of a chapter, tell us something very indirectly. He does this in the Pada or the Upapada chapter, for instance. But by giving the name of the Dasha in Sutra 241, the first sutra in the Dasha chapter, where he says, Dvitiyam Bhava Balam Caranavamsa, by using the name Caranavamsa, that lets us know that there's a Dasha called Caranavamsa. And he doesn't specifically give a sutra for calculating the Caranavamsa. Instead, he just tells us there's Caranavamsa, and we're supposed to figure out how to calculate it. The reason he does that is because earlier in the chapter, when he gives the longevity dashas, there's a longevity dasha called Navamsa Dasha. And like most longevity dashas, in the dasha periods have a fixed length. So the dasha periods, each dasha might be 9 years long, or 7 years, or 8 years long, or something. In the movable dashas, the predictive dashas for events, the dasha lengths are, in most cases, variable, as he talked about in the very beginning of his book. And so what he wants us to do is to take the Navamsa Dasha used for longevity and to make it a Chara Navamsa simply means we use Chara Dasha lengths, which means movable Dasha lengths, instead of fixed Dasha lengths the way we did for the longevity. So we already know everything we need to know to calculate the Dasha, so he just tells us, use Chara Navamsa Dasha, and he expects us to know how to calculate it. So in the sutra where he tells how to tell the standard Navamsa Dasha, he says, the Navamsa in an odd, that commences. That means that the Navamsa Lagna is in an odd sign. The Navamsa Dasha starts from that sign. Then he goes on to say, in an even, the mirror commences. So if the Navamsa Lagna is in an even sign, then the mirror sign starts the dasha. Okay? So the way we do that is shown in an example here. So this person is, Rasi chart has a Virgo Lagna, but we're interested in the Navamsa. So we're going to pull up the Navamsa, and they've got an Aries Lagna here. That means their first dasha is going to be Aries. Okay? And then it'll proceed around and around. Aries to Taurus to Gemini to Cancer and so on around the zodiac. If his first dasha had been, say, Taurus, which was an even sign, then we wouldn't start at Taurus. Instead, we would start at what Jaimini calls the mirror sign. The mirror sign is the sign ruled by the same planet that's odd. So for Taurus, the mirror of Taurus is Libra. And of course, Taurus aspects Libra, which is a drishti, which means they're looking at each other. And a mirror is something you have to look at to see the reflection, to see. So in this case of Taurus, Libra would start the dasha and we would start there. Okay? So pretty simple. So I'm going to go through all the even signs just to make sure everyone knows what sign we're starting at. So Taurus, the Navamsa Dasha, if that's the Lagna, the Navamsa Dasha will start at Libra. If it's Virgo, which is an even sign, the Navamsa Dasha will start from Gemini. Okay? If it's Scorpio, an even sign, the Navamsa Dasha will start from Aries, the odd sign. Okay? Now it's a little bit different with Capricorn, Aquarius, Aries, and Leo and Aquarius. Leo and Cancer. If Capricorn, an even sign, is the Navamsa Lagna, the dasha starts from Leo. That's the mirror to Capricorn. Because Capricorn can't look at its own mirror, its other sign, Aquarius. It does not aspect that sign. Then if it's a Cancer Navamsa Lagna, then the mirror is Aquarius, which means Aquarius would start the dasha. And finally, if Pisces, an even sign, rises, the dasha starts at Sagittarius. So in the Navamsa Dasha, Jaimini wants us to start at an odd sign because the dasha is always going to go in the natural order from Aries to Taurus to Gemini to Cancer. Okay, so that's the first step, is just getting the dasha order. So as in this chart, Aries is the lagna. The first dasha is Aries, then Taurus, then Gemini, then Cancer, then Leo, Virgo, Libra, and so on. And that's all we need the Navamsha for. So that's the first step. Now, to change the standard Navamsha dasha to Caranavamsa, we just have to use the changeable dasha lengths, as per the sutra on determining the dasha lengths, which is found in chapter 1 of the Jaimini Sutras. That's Sutra 1128, where he says generally the whole amount of years are equivalent to the borders occupied by the lords, which I covered in great depth in the first Jaimini course, but which basically means that you simply find the lord of the sign, see how many signs it's from the sign, and that's the amount of years. Okay, so for instance, and for this we always count forwards, which is the direction the planets are going. So Aries sign, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 years to Mars. So Mars is in the 4th from Aries. We always subtract 1. So in the 4th gives 3 years. Okay, the reason we subtract 1, because if the Lord's in the first sign, in the house itself, we don't just give it 1 year for that dasha, we give 12 years for that dasha. So if it's in the second house, it's 1 year. If it's in the third house, it's 2 years. If it's in the 4th house, it's 3. 5th house, 4. 6th house, 5. 7th house, 6. 8th house, 7. 9th house, 8 years. 10th house, 9 years. 11th house gives 10 years. 11th house or 12th house gives 11 years. And finally, if it's in the same sign, you get a full length of 12 years for that dasha. Okay? So that's why we count to the house and subtract 1. So Aries gives 3 years. So in this person's chart, Aries would run from September 77 for 3 years until September 80. Okay? All right, then, and those are solar years, where the sun comes back to its original place exactly 3 years ago. And sometimes that will be a day before or after their birthday. Okay? Next dasha of Taurus, well, Venus from Taurus is in 1, 2, 3, 4 signs away, so Taurus gives 3 years as well. Then Gemini, the next dasha, well, Mercury, the lord of Gemini, is in the 4th from Gemini again, so Gemini also gets 3 years. Cancer is holding the moon, its lord, so Cancer is going to get 12 years. Leo, his lord is in the 2nd from him, so Leo is only good for 1 year of dasha. Virgo is getting 12 years because Mercury is in it. Libra is getting 10 years because Venus is in the 11th from there, which gives it 10 years. Scorpio will give, looks like 8 years because Mars is in the 9th from Scorpio. Sagittarius will get 7 years because Jupiter is in the 8th from Sagittarius. Capricorn will give 7 years because Saturn's in the 8th from Capricorn. Aquarius will give 6 years because Saturn's in the 7th from Aquarius. And Pisces will give 4 years because Jupiter's in the 5th. And that's how you calculate out the dasha lengths. Okay? Now after that, we have to calculate out the antardasha lengths. And the antardasha lengths are all even. So each antardasha is the same long as the dasha. Each antardasha is the same long. So while the dashas, the mahadashas, will change lengths, durations, the antardashas will always be equal length. So in Aries dasha, we're going to have 12 dashas, starting with Aries. Okay? So the first antardasha will be Aries, then Taurus, then Gemini. Because Aries is an odd sign, we simply start from Aries. Okay? And each dasha is going to be 3 months long, each antardasha. How do I know that? Well, if the mahadasha is 3 years, the antardasha in Jaimini ends up being 3 months. So with Jaimini, it's really easy to find out the antardasha length. It's as many months long as the dasha length was long. So since Aries is 3 years long, every Antardasha in Aries will be 3 months long. Okay? Since there was one sign here, Leo Dasha was 1 year long. Therefore, every Antardasha in Leo will be 1 month long. Real easy to figure out the Antardashas. But basically what we're doing is we're simply dividing 3 years by 12 signs, which gives us 3 months. So 3 years is 36 months. We divide that by 12 signs, and we get 3 months for each sign. Okay? So that's all you're doing. Now, Jaimini tells us to work down to the 3rd level. We're not supposed to work down to the 4th or 5th levels in Jaimini. That's why nothing comes up there. That's only for the Nakshatra Dashas. For Rashi Dashas, we work down to 3 levels. So, to find the 3rd level, you simply find the amount of months the 2nd level Dasha is, and divide that time period by 3. Okay? By 12. Now, the order of the Antardashas is exactly the same as the order as the Dashas themselves. So, for instance, Aries Dasha starts at Aries because it's an odd sign and goes around the zodiac till it gets to Pisces, Aries, Pisces, and then Taurus starts. Now, Taurus is an even sign, so it's not going to be Taurus that starts the Dasha. It's going to be Taurus Libra. We have to start the Antardashas at the mirror of Taurus. So it'll be Taurus Libra, and it'll go around to Taurus Virgo. Okay? So we basically calculate the Antardashas exactly as we do the Dashas themselves, in the same order with the same principles of it. If it's an even sign, we start that set of Antardashas from the mirror sign. Okay? And then we do the same thing for the 3rd level Dasha. And that's really all there is to calculating Chara Dasha. It's something you can quickly calculate out on a piece of paper. Literally to calculate the Maha Dashas, you can do that in a couple minutes. And then it takes maybe 5 minutes to calculate an Antardasha that you want to focus on. Okay? All right.